Hi guys, today we are going to talk about Chapter 3, Section 3, Solving Equations Using Addition and Subtraction. Our I can statement, by the end of this section we should be able to write simple equations, solve equations using addition and subtraction, and solve real-life problems. We know that two equations are equivalent equations if they have the same solutions. The addition and subtraction properties of equality can be used to write equivalent equations. So our addition and subtraction property of equality states that adding or subtracting the same number from each side of an equation produces an equivalent equation. That means that we can add a 2 to both sides of the equation and it will remain equivalent to the other side. Okay. Just as a reminder, we're going to talk about opposites. Okay, so our operation over on the left, we have addition. The opposite operation would be subtraction. Our opposite operation from subtraction would be addition. The opposite operation from multiplication would be division. The opposite operation from division would be multiplication. And the opposite operation, when we're talking about a negative, that means we're going to end up with a positive. So the opposite of the negative would be positive. Okay, so let's take a look at example 1. Right here I see x minus 5 equals negative 1. So when we talk about opposite operations, we want to try to undo whatever we have done there so we can get x all by itself. So right now I have x minus 5. So to undo that operation, I'm going to add 5 to both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so when I say add to both sides, that means both sides of the equal sign. So all I have left, because negative 5 and a positive 5, they cancel each other out. So I have x equals negative 1 plus positive 5 gives me a positive 4. Now, in order to check this, because we want to check it, so if you look down here at the try on your own, it says check your solutions. So we want to check to make sure that this is actually the correct answer. So that means we're going to plug that answer that we just got in for x. So I'm going to take this 4 and plug it in for x. So that means I'm going to have 4 minus 5. Does that truly equal negative 1? Does 4 minus 5 equal negative 1? Yes, it does. So that means I have my correct answer. Okay, let's look at B. It says solve z plus 3 halves equals 1 half. So right now I see that I have a plus 3 over 2. So I want to undo the plus 3 halves. So that means I want to subtract it because the opposite operation of adding 3 halves is going to be to subtract 3 halves. So again, we're going to do it to both sides of that equal sign. Okay, so what I actually have over here on the right-hand side, I have 1 half minus 3 halves. And just like we did in Chapter 2 with solving rational number problems, we are going to subtract the 3 minus a 1. So do the larger minus the smaller, which would give me 2 over 2. And because I am subtracting 1 minus a larger number, I'm going to end up with a negative 2 over 2. A negative 2 over 2 equals a negative 1. So that's what I'm going to have. This cancels out. I have z, bring down my equal sign, and I'm going to end up with a negative 1 as my answer. Again, we can go back through and plug that in. And because I'm working with fractions, I'm actually going to use my negative 2 over 2 to plug back in for z. So I have negative 2 over 2 plus 3 over 2 equals 1 over 2. So what I'm going to look at is the positive 3 and the negative 2. When I subtract those, because they're opposite signs, I end up with 1 over 2, so 1 half. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try the next 3 on your own. All right, let's take a look at example 2. It says a company has a profit of $750 this week. This profit is $900 more than the profit P last week. Which equation can be used to find out P? So if we know that this week's profit is $750, that's my end result. So my end result is $750. It also says that the profit of $750 is 900 more than last week's profit that we're going to call P. So last week's profit, P, plus the 900 is going to equal my $750. So which of the equations above would look like my answer that I have just written down here? So we should have B as our answer. Now, let's go ahead and solve this. Okay, we are going to try to get the letter P all by itself. So that means we are going to get rid of anything by the P. We want to isolate it by itself. So we're going to subtract 900. So 750 minus 900, we actually can't do that. So we have to take our larger value minus the 750, which is going to give us, oops, sorry, that's still 10. Oops. So we have 900 minus the 750. So we have 0 minus 0 is 0, 10 minus 5 is 5, 8 minus 7 is 1. And because we're subtracting a larger value, it's going to be a negative 150. So last week's value was negative $150 that they earned. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try number 4 on your own. All right, let's take a look at example 3. The line graph shows the scoring while you and your friend played a video game. Write and solve an equation to find your score after level 4. So it says your score, well, your friend's score, sorry, your friend is in the blue over here, is at negative 8. So I know that there's a 33-point difference between your score and your friend's score. So from your score minus those 33 points is going to give us that negative 8. Okay, and that's an S, not a 5, just in case we are confused about that. So we are going to have S minus 33 equals negative 8. So here I'm going to add 33. I'm going to do the opposite to each side of that equal sign. So remember, we're doing to each side of that equal sign. So I'm left with S equals 25. So that means that your score is at 25. And that looks pretty close over here. If we were to look at our little chart, it's right between the 20 and the 30. So I would say that is correct.